Hey there, my name's Joe Keyport, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. This week, I talked to Austin and Taryn of the band Durry. This sibling duo started the band as a COVID project when no one could play shows. Durry is an indie pop project that takes all the feelings and nostalgia from a coming-of-age movie, but they leave in all those messy bits to keep it, really real, very raw, and very honest. Durry will be playing their first show at the 7th Street Entry on Thursday, July 29th. Tickets are still available, so you can go pick those up after you listen to this interview, or you can listen to it while you're doing, because multitasking is a really cool thing. It's Austin and Taryn of Durry. It's all right here on the Ear Coffee Podcast. How's it going?
Going good. Happy to be here.
So, for those not aware of Durry, since this is like a brand new project, do you want to quick just introduce yourselves and what you do here in the band?
Our Durry is our last name and also the name of this project. I write most of the things and play guitar and kind of do the production side of things mostly. And Taryn and I sing too, and then Taryn sings and does keys and tells me when I have bad ideas. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the division of labor.
I'm here for opinions.
Yeah.
Everybody needs one of those people. Be like, yeah, this isn't great. Yeah, we should change that.
For real. We're not honest with ourselves.
And for those of you who've followed the podcast long enough, Austin is an Ear Coffee Podcast alum where I interviewed Coyote Kid before it was Coyote Kid and Annalise Coffee when we were still on terrible hand recorders in random coffee shops, hoping that people could suffer through it.
That was great. That was one of the most in-depth interviews we've literally ever had. So.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Happy to see you guys still cooking. That's great.
Of course. So this has been a new question I've been asking every band is when people find out that you're in a project and you're working music, you're making music and stuff, and they go, oh, cool, you're in a band. What kind of music do you make? What's that that pitch, that one sentence response you give them to try and explain it enough that they're like, okay, cool. But also you don't, you're not going to try and blow them away with, well, we're like, you insert 6 different modifiers that don't quite, all goes over their head. So what's that pitch for people when they ask, oh, cool, you're in a band. What's that about?
I want to hear your answer. I have my answer locked, but I
was gonna say just easy indie pop.
Indie pop, easy peasy. Yeah, that's pretty much mine too. I usually throw in nostalgic indie pop because just to have a little extra intrigue, But after years of trying to describe what Coyote Kid is, it's so refreshing to just be like, I know what this is.
We have a category.
This has a name. When we put things on Spotify, we can say what the genre is, and it doesn't feel like we're lying. That's good.
Of course. So kind of starting off, when I was reading through your bio for this band, it was very much a product of the pandemic. So I'm wondering, kind of take me through what the inspiration was to make Durry a family band, essentially.
Yeah, so the pandemic was I don't know, it was a really unique situation for working artists, where all of a sudden you kind of have time to re-examine what you're doing and you have time to just goof around and learn new things and all that kind of stuff. It started with learning Logic. And just learning some super basic production stuff and just kind of playing around with synths and stuff like that. And that's how then I started that kind of stuff. And then Taryn would pop in and I'd be like, hey, what do you think of this? And then that turned into way more elaborate, okay, should it be like this? Okay, are these words dumb? Okay. And then it became way more involved. And I was already going by the name Durry because in my band Coyote Kid there are multiple Austins, so we all just go by our last name. So that I made that my artist name, and then when Taryn was working so hard with me on it, it was just kind of well, that it makes sense.
Bring you in.
You got the same name, so you're qualified. So, yeah, and then we just decided to go for it. In the beginning, starting with just nothing and not being able to play shows or anything, we did the Kickstarter, like really unsure, at least I was unsure of if there would be support for it or if that would work. And it was really like, we'll try this. If it works, we'll try it. If it doesn't, then like, no worries, we'll just not do this. And it ended up doing crazy well and got like over 150% of our goal and got our stretch goals. And yeah, it was shocking how well that did.
Yeah.
when like the day before we launched it, or a couple days before or something, I was like, we're only going to ask for $4,000. And I was like, this is all we need. But like we'll barely scrape by. We'll invest a little bit of money. It'll be fine.
I thought it was worth more than that. So I thought we should bump it to 5,000. So we did. And we made it within 2 days.
Yeah. 2 days we hit our goal. It was wild.
Wow.
It was bonkers. So it was a lesson in believing in yourself.
Because with Coyote Kid, you've done Kickstarters and for previous records with that band, but you have, the history of that project and the fact of what you can put out. So having to go out on a limb and say, this is new, I have this experience, but please believe in me, seems really like humbling and scary at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's also like such a different sound and approach to all of it that I was like really nervous about how, like, Coyote Kid fans, the tried and true fans that I would hope want to support this would react to something completely different. And but they all were super supportive and super backed it really hard. And yeah, it was awesome.
Okay. And so, Austin, you mentioned that like this kind of grew out of you learning Logic and kind of production a little bit. What was that first song that like you were working on and Taryn popped in and was like, this is cool, maybe this could be more? Was there a moment, like a song that was that, or was it just in general you both saw something in the project that meant that you could maybe take it to what it is now?
Yeah, I don't know if there was like a specific moment. It was a pretty gradual thing, just because I've been like bouncing stuff off of Taryn for forever, kind of. And, like,
oh wow.
So it was pretty gradual. But then it definitely like the project started to be shaped by Taryn's taste and influence and those kind of things too. And so that was when it was kind of like it felt like with that much influence, it wasn't just my thing anymore. And that's kind of when we opened it up.
Yeah.
What was that taste and influence, Taryn, that you were bringing into this project, to influence it into the duo?
I would say with all the Coyote Kid stuff that Austin was doing, it's pretty far off from that. And so I feel like it was more of an open space for us to bounce ideas off of, and then we were able to grow it together from that rather than being so much just for me. I listen to a lot more like indie pop kind of things. I have a lot more influence in that way, but yeah, I think it was a good project that we were able to grow more together than my own influence.
Yeah. And also another element of this was that my wife got really into like 80s hits, like super, and she would like be like working out and it would just be like blasting in the house, and we're both working from home, and so I hear these same couple songs over and over again, and after a while I was like,
that just sneaks right into
these
your
are kind of awesome. So yeah, so that was the third factor, I think.
So that's how we made awesome music.
Copying people from the 80s.
Yes.
No.
So Taryn, did you have previous experience in bands before, or working on music, or just doing that kind of stuff before Durry started, or because
I did not.
Okay.
I haven't been in any bands. We have grown up in a pretty musical and artistic family.
Okay.
And so I've grown up in that, and I do play a lot of instruments. So I'm knowledgeable in that way, but I haven't had any experience with bands.
Yeah, this is our dad is a music teacher and our mom is a art teacher.
Okay.
So and we were also homeschooled. So so we have a little bit of a lopsided education maybe, but yeah, the show coming up on the 29th
Mm-hmm.
is going to be Taryn's first time at it playing a show. It's going to be so exciting.
Are you excited to be able to play live, or is it scary, or is it?
Yeah, I mean it's a little scary, but I'm more excited than afraid of it. So I think it'll be good.
More excited than afraid is that's the sweet spot.
That's all you can hope for. So then,
I'm not afraid to be good though.
Yeah, to practice.
So growing up, homeschooled and stuff. Were you pretty close growing up together then? Or
it depends on what time of life it was. We are 7 years apart.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big gap. So when we were kids, we were probably a little bit closer, but then the point where Austin was getting into his teens, I'm still this little kid. So not much connection there, but I'm finally like an adult now, and so now we're friends.
I feel like there was like a moment in time when it was like, oh, you're a grown up now. You can like hang out. Like I get it.
Oh, we're equals.
But we were just far enough apart that like I was the bad influence on like shows I would watch. So we're like too adult for you or something. Just we're gonna watch, Malcolm in the Middle, and you're 4, and like.
See, I was always vetoed though. I didn't have any power. That's your fault.
Yeah, sorry about it.
That's the way it is being the older sibling. It's just I have control,
Yeah.
See, got the power.
I have two older brothers.
Oh, okay.
So I was the third with no power, and then
you suddenly had all the power.
I was the one he could pick on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then, with you're adults and you can be friends and it's cool to work together and you have this project. How has Durry impacted your relationship as siblings? I always wonder when anytime like a duo that's related is working together, I always get very interested, whether it's husband and wife or just like siblings or like really close friends. It's knowing like that interaction is always very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's been really good. I mean, just having a mutual project. Yeah, and like we've always had our own projects and we'll share them with each other and whatever, but we've never had a mutual goal. Yeah. So that's been really good. And I don't know, I think it's been good. I think I a lot of times in the past I've tended to have very like business oriented relationships with band members and stuff like that, and a little more it's nice to kind of
ease it back a little
bit. Already be closer than that it's like that it's not, I don't know, it's not like that, and that's nice. It's refreshing.
Change pace.
Yeah.
Just rolling back a little bit to an earlier question, what was that first song then? So you started writing beginning of 2020 right at the beginning of the pandemic, or was it something that kind of what time was that first song kind of finished for you and you started to see that this could be, an EP or an album as opposed to just maybe it's a one-off or maybe a couple of songs and we're done and we can go on?
Yeah, so I recorded a song like every artist had their quarantine song, right? So I put out my quarantine song that was very just DIY. It wasn't going to fit with Coyote Kid. It was just whatever. Just threw it out there, and it was a song called Judgment Day. I ended up taking it down because the production was really bad and I was mixing it myself and I don't know what I'm doing. But
because your experiment song.
Exactly. It was my first time using like a drum machine and like synths and stuff like that. So whatever. But yeah. And then after that, the song Losers Club, that was the first. That was the first one where it was like, where I felt like the song was good enough that it was like worth really looking into and trying to get into it more and yeah, that was one of the first ones that I like really super hard brought you in and was like, tell me what you think of this for real. Like, yeah, Losers Club was that was the one, and then from that the rest of the EP kind of started with that stylistic base, but then went in different, angles with it and stuff like that. So
yeah. So the EP is titled Suburban Legend, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you said Losers Club was kind of that base, and listening through the two songs that you sent me, Hasta La Vista Baby, which we'll talk about in a second, and then Losers Club, and then just kind of reading through that Kickstarter campaign. It's very, you let me see how I wrote this here. Like looking at that track summary, you seem to draw kind of from that coming of age experiences as you branch out into the different themes and feelings. But you keep in the messiness that comes with it. You think, like you mentioned, like listening to 80s hit, like your wife listening to 80s hits. You think of like the 80s and 90s coming of age movies. They have that sort of like bittersweetness every now and again, but it's very polished. There's glitz and glam. You have all the nostalgia. But listening to listening to those two songs, that nostalgia is there, but it's very bittersweet at times. So
yeah, exactly. I think in our bio at one point I said like it's a nostalgic but honest look at like the past and the world and culture and stuff like that. So I think that's the little dirty parts. That's where the character comes through, and the stories and that's where in all those classic movies the character needs to have flaws to have character growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are the trials that need to be overcome in any story or any song or anything like that.
So talk to me then about some of the themes you pull on to those trials and some of that story to advance that story then for Suburban Legend.
Yeah. So Losers Club was written kind of as like just like a self pep talk a little bit, and it was, at the beginning of the pandemic, my band, we had come off of like 3 years of like huge disappointments, basically, of like record labels screwing us over or like booking people ghosting us or people making a lot of promises and not coming through. And then that winter, coming into 2020, I was like, I'm going to do all the booking myself. And this summer's going to be awesome. We're going to book all these tours. And I booked 89 shows across the country.
Wow.
And that was summer of 2020.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
And then, so that was like, so that was like a huge, just like let down, just like, man, we just keep getting screwed over by just life, whatever. And then Losers Club was kind of picking myself up out of that and brushing yourself off and all right, let's try again, just coupled with kind of some of the disappointments of that and trying to have some, I don't know, universal themes of just everyone's been picked on, everyone's been dealing with all the stuff that's in that song.
So then some of those other songs, would you say this album isn't like a concept linear storyline then, right? It's just kind of, is it kind of is it a linear storyline, or is it something you just kind of punch into these various feelings?
This is this is the first time in my music career that it's not a linear storyline.
Yeah.
Because that's usually my bread and butter is the concept records. But yeah, this one really is separate topics. Maybe a similar coming from a similar emotional place or whatever. But each one kind of has a different idea at its core, and like the second single, Hasta La Vista Baby, is I wrote it after getting in like a Facebook debate and with this dude that was like just a total douchebag, and a lot of the themes in that are kind of just based on that attitude that he had in that conversation, so I don't know. So basically we had that whole Facebook fight, and then I went and wrote my little diss track, and that's it. It's all about like toxic masculinity and kind of the guy that thinks they're the hero in their movie, and and sees everything in absolutes, black and white. Everything is like they're the bad guys, we're the good guys, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty much just like ragging on all those stupid ideas.
Yeah. Do you plan on releasing those like supercut videos with each single? Or each song,
so,
or just
they're like way too much work to make.
I was gonna ask about how long that takes, because you don't really repeat movies in those videos.
Yeah, no. Those are both videos start out with like the idea that sounds so simple, and then like as I'm editing and as I'm collecting clips, it's like, oh my gosh, I've been working on this for weeks. Like, we gotta stop. So I think, unless I have any sudden moments of inspiration, I think that it'll only be those two supercut videos. Yeah, unless people love them or something, and then I'll put out more. But
we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. Do you both have like a running list in your head? Did you both have like a running list in your head of videos that would work for those kind of things? Or you're just like, all right, we got this, you have this, or is it just kind of sit down and hope we can find something, or is it?
So for the supercut videos, those are like, I try to just have like a general vibe, you know what I mean? And then like the dancing one is pretty straightforward. I actually did like a Instagram poll a really long time ago, just said like, what's your favorite dance scene in a movie? And then I started with that list, expanded it, and then for the action hero one, that one I just tried to find the most like mullet having muscular ridiculous.
There goes our good lighting.
Oh no, it's gone. Okay. But yeah, I tried to find the most ridiculous footage, and with the obvious Arnold Schwarzenegger quote as the name of the song, it was like, it's gotta be Arnie, like, as the guy, But yeah, but yeah, we also have, we made that other music video thing, the lyric video, on the playground or whatever. Yeah.
Was who had the idea for the like the proper lyric, the lyric video where you went to that playground?
I think that was my idea.
Okay.
It was just it was just like, what can we do with no money? Like,
yeah.
I bet we can clamp my phone to this merry-go-round. That actually took like 3 separate days. We went out there to try and do it. The first day I had an asthma attack.
Oh.
The second day we kind of got it, but it kind of wasn't good. And then the third day we like made a plan and like had our shots and we did it for real. And one of the days we had to like wait around for like an hour for like the kids playing on the playground to leave.
You didn't want to be weird about it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was fun. I'm hoping we can come up with more easy ideas like that. Just kind of, basic cell phone music videos. I don't know. We'll see.
Keep it going.
The way like y'all have been going about this project seems very like playful is like the best word I could think of describing like the promo you're doing. Cause like not to compare too much of this project to Coyote Kid, but like, that's a very curated, very serious like project for what it is. And so the fact that like, it's you two doing it very DIY with like you had the roll of paper in the garage for the promo pics, and you're clamping your phone to a merry-go-round. Was that something you really intended to do with this for the both of you, or is it just kind of a product of what was going on?
Kind of both.
A little both. I think we started with a little bit of that kind of intention and just keeping it a little more laid back. But then just the more we were doing stuff, the more it kind of steered the direction. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that like we came up with like props that represented each single, and that was kind of what started with like, what's an interesting like visual idea, and it was just the idea of like of having a thing that represents each song, and then that, okay, well, we gotta have a photo shoot, and then okay, what color do we want it to be, and then okay, I guess everything's yellow now, and then like everything just kind of snowballing out of just like what we had available to us and then basing that on the theme, and then going from there.
Okay. So one thing, like Austin, you and I talked about before this interview, was the fact that you're releasing each song on Suburban Legend individually. What was kind of the decision behind doing that?
Yeah, it's kind of so that we can just give each song the attention that we want to give it for like promotion and stuff, and in general, because it's not like a linear story or anything like that. It's more each song is different. So I felt like it just gave each song more time to breathe and more time to be consumed slowly, and it was also partially just because it's like there's only 5 songs. We felt like 4 of them would be like good singles, so we're like, let's just, they're all singles,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also just this is kind of a tangent, but I'm a big fan of when shows come out every week instead of all at once.
Yes.
On Netflix. It's just so much better to have little like conversation around it, and like the whole culture is experiencing this thing for like a month, or I think that's way more fun. So so I like that idea better.
Gotcha. You don't get to binge it. You have to have the payoff of waiting for it.
Exactly. And the other part of it was too that we weren't really planning on doing anything physical, physical like CDs or records or whatever. We are now. We're going to be doing a cassette tape.
Oh, nice.
Because we hit a stretch goal for it. So that'll be like after they all come out. But yeah, that was the other kind of element to it. Was just seemed like it made more sense.
And then I was wondering, did you get a chance to go in and record this in a studio, or is this all done kind of by yourselves over the pandemic and as you get to work on it?
I so wish that I was this good of a recording guy, but I'm not at all. The demo sound like trash. But no, we recorded it at Tangerine Studios. That's where all the Coyote Kid stuff is recorded, and he actually Jack Vondercheck, he's my man. I showed him Losers Club early on, my mix of it, and it was kind of just like, what do you think of this mix? It was like for like mixing feedback or whatever, and he was super supportive of it, and he actually was like, he agreed to record that one for us for free, which is like the nugget that started this whole thing, was because he was just like really liked the song, or like the idea behind it and everything. So so without that support, this whole thing probably wouldn't have really happened then. Yeah, but yeah, so then the rest of it we funded with Kickstarter, and yeah.
Taryn, what was it like? Was this your first experience in a recording studio as well?
Yes, it was.
Well, tell me about that. Tell me what like that was like for you from your perspective of going into a place like a recording studio.
Yeah, I honestly had no idea what to expect. Austin, I thought he would prep me a little bit. He did not.
Prepping's no fun though.
It was a good experience.
Yeah.
It was relaxed. It was chill. There was not pressure. So I actually really enjoyed the process of that.
Okay. And was it you two that did everything then on the songs, recorded everything?
We actually had my friend Dane. He was one of the old drummers for Mar and the Mainsail. He actually volunteered to come in and record drums for us, which was awesome. He's an incredible drummer, and so he did drums, and then we recorded everything else. Yeah, I mean, pretty much the whole thing is pretty much guitar, synths, and drums. So
yeah,
we played guitar and synths.
Well, so what's kind of you expect, since it obviously Durry is very early in the early phases of what this band could be. What do you have? What's kind of your expectations and goals for the project, moving forward?
Nothing. Honestly, yeah. I mean, we're kind of just trying to make songs we really like, and we're gonna promote them as best we can and try and make
shoot our shots.
Yeah, shoot our shots, and The other thing that's different about this project that feels more relaxed about it is that it's like, it's not like Coyote Kid's like pretty do or die. It's like it's like for almost everyone in the band, it's like that's our career. That's all we have to do. and this feels there's way less stakes in a way, and it's kind of like relaxing because of that. So so we're hoping it goes good. We're hoping people love it and maybe it turns into something. But we're I don't know if we have any specific goals.
We don't have huge expectations.
We want to have fun. That's our goal.
Do you have, like, speaking of, having fun, do either of you have like a really favorite like memory from this whole process of doing this EP?
A favorite memory. I think the photo shoot was pretty fun.
The photo shoot was fun.
We were in there for like a really long time.
It was really cold too.
Yeah, it was in it was in our parents' garage. We had like mic stands with lights taped to them, like set up, and then this big roll of paper that we like hung off of these poles, like balanced on tables. It was like super sketchy.
It's very DIY. Like we say it was at home, homemade DIY, whatever. But it really was. We were balancing things, and it was intense. We made like little videos for each cover art thing, like a little like a looped video kind of thing. And one of them is a clock, but we didn't have batteries for the clock. And so in the video, Taryn is crouched behind the table, like turning the hands with like her fingers because we didn't have batteries for it. I don't know. That was a fun project, just that whole photo shoot and crafting the visual side of everything and trying to make it look and come off professional and chic when with no resources. But that was like a really fun challenge.
Cool. Well, I just have a few questions left then, which one of them is I'm very excited to ask because we can actually have things going on again. What do you got coming up here in the future for Durry? I know you have a gig coming up at the end of July.
Yes, we so our very first gig, Taryn's first gig ever, is July 29th at 7th Street Entry. We're going to be playing our whole EP, which no one's heard yet, the rest of it. So that'll be super exciting, and we're hoping to really pack the place and have a lot of fun. And the other bands are really awesome. That's kind of like the gig for us right now. And then we're hoping that turns into more gigs other places and stuff too. But right now we're pretty much honed in on that. And then we also got we have our second single coming out the day after the show on the 30th of July. That's Hasta La Vista Baby. And then we'll be putting out another single pretty much every month after that.
Aiming at the end of the month then, or is it kind of the release?
Roughly. I think the schedule we have right now is like 5 weeks apart. So it's like a little over a month for each one, but
going back to the whole gig thing, I'm like super psyched. This is a tangent. The fact that like 7th Street and First Ave are like booking almost exclusively local bands every day of the week. Like that's super exciting to see.
So good. And like, having all the time off of shows, I think that the bands are so hungry for shows. And the fans are so hungry for shows, and it's just going to be a mess, and it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Well, then finally here, where can people connect with Durry online?
Yeah. So, we do things a little differently than most. We have a Instagram and we have a Facebook. I'm just kidding. We're not different than anyone. Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok. We try to be on TikTok. We're not good at it at all. We're not good at it at all. But I should probably make us a website at some point. I haven't done it yet, but it's all just under Durry Music. Search for Durry Music, and that's it. And you'll see our little yellow pictures of stuff, and that's us.
Well, cool. Taryn, Austin, I really appreciate you taking some time chatting with me here.
Yes, thanks for having us. This was awesome. You're the first
The Ear Coffee podcast is a companion to the blog of the same name. If you like this episode, please leave us a rate and review so we can stand out among the other music podcasts. You can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @Ear Coffee. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.